Okay, let's be realists about this whole matter here. For starters, I'm very impressed with what you've said about Victoria Lindsay, and I got to admit that you are one of two people I've actually got to hear that actually did do, as far as I'm concerned, a tremendous job talking about this matter and what has happened with, these 8 teens that did this to this poor girl. Here's the bottom line. That girl was beaten up for one reason. These girls and their boyfriends, did not like this girl because she was a cheerleader. She was a girl dealing with her education. This was a young girl who has been through the ringer because of these kids. Here was a young lady. She was a cheerleader. I doubt she had any sort of ego. And just looking at the video and hearing what Victoria Lindsay was all about, this poor girl couldn't hurt a fly. And there are things I agree with and there's things I disagree with. Do I think she was right by letting herself be beat up? I can sit there and see why she would let that happen. Because like I said, this is a very petite girl, a very peaceful girl, a very sweet girl that wouldn't hurt a fly. But there's nothing wrong with defending yourself for the sake of self-defense, no matter how many people are out there against you. She did try to turn the other cheek and leave. They wanted to hurt this girl. They wanted to maim this girl. I will say this. When I think the realization was that they permanently scarred this girl, that held them back from actually going forth and killing this girl. I will say that much. I'm also going to say this. The bottom line is, they had no sympathy in the end, even though they took her to a nurse and everything. They just wanted this girl out of their hair, from their school, and from what was supposed to be done at that school. This Victoria Lindsay had a job. She was making accomplishments happen in school. This is the bottom line. And you cannot sit there and deny anything she's done. She has done nothing to offend anybody. If she said something about them, I'm pretty sure it was the truth. So guess what? I'm glad those girls got what they got. I'm glad a lot of the guys, those 2 guys, got what they got. Because they kidnapped her. I will say this, and I will say this right here, right now. Like I said, you are one of 2 people that I've heard really be outspoken about this, and I respect you and admire you for it. And my radio show that I do, that I'm actually bringing back, the Wacko Weekly, the Victoria Lindsay deal is going to be talked about on my show. I do have one of the people from YouTube who has frequently discussed this matter here on YouTube. And I'm going to have her on. I would like to have you on at the same time too. And I did email you about it, and I would definitely like to see you and talk to you about this matter. Because I think this matter needs to be talked about more. Because there is no justifying what these teens did. There is no defending these teens. And the parents want to sit there and justify things and say, well, Victoria Lindsay is the problem. Victoria Lindsay was simply in the way of their kids' comfort, no matter if their kids were right or wrong. And that's the problem. That's why people do not want to listen. This is a matter that needs to be handled properly. You don't know how many parents I have talked to in the line of work that I'm in. You don't know what I deal with myself as far as the internet goes, doing my wrestling show, and now that I'm bringing back my variety show. Let me get this through a lot of people's heads. What happened to Victoria Lindsay had nothing to do with what she did. It had to do with the way these people felt about her. And that's the bottom line. Sorry if I'm getting myself a little worked up here, but I'm offended by what I've heard potential attorneys say. I'm offended by what I heard some people on YouTube have said and some of the videos that they've done here on YouTube. I'm offended by a lot of things that have happened on MySpace because this girl did not get what she deserved. She should be looking at a bright future, not be scarred for the rest of her life, and her whole life changed forever. The whole direction of her life changed forever. That was wrong, that was stupid, that was ridiculous. And I'm sorry if people don't like it. But to sit there and try and blow this off like this happens all the time, and we shouldn't even be worrying ourselves with this, is wrong. You're trying to say the difference is this is caught on tape and these people deliberately tape this. This is proof that you need to sit there and look at what you're doing. Look at what the law has done. Look at the logic that the law has chosen to go with. This should be an example. These girls should be an example of what these people do is wrong, and the same action needs to be taken. And if people don't like what I'm saying here, let me know. Let her know. Let anyone know. I mean, come on. It doesn't take that much to comprehend what had happened to Victoria Lindsay and what the reasons were behind it and what the logic was behind it. It doesn't take much to figure that out. And to sit there and defend these girls, to sit there and try and justify it, to sit there and say, oh, let's give them a second chance, it's just sugarcoating the situation. Not just with Victoria Lindsay, who probably went through the most horrific and the most high-profile act of it all. But I will say this. It was the worst. It was the worst thing I ever saw. And this stuff happens all the time. And you can't just say that it's kids doing it. This goes on all the time. And the internet needs to get control of things. The internet needs to start using logic and upholding laws in each country, just like anyone else does. What they did to that girl, words can't describe it. If I'm holding back from saying anything because I'm trying to save it for my show, The Wacko Weekly, I'll be doing a special time for that show, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, on the same spot where I do my wrestling show, The Dark Match, www.blogtalkradio.com/The Dark Match. You should also be able to hear it on the same site I do my wrestling show, which is the site for my wrestling show, www.thedarkmatch.net. But this matter is going to be one of many things I talk about. And when my show is back at its original time, a week from this Saturday, which will be June 14th, I'll have the other girl other than this one who's done a great job, who's going to be a guest on my show. And she's going to talk about this matter. The sick, demented minds that went into this is wrong. The fact that the families never disciplined these kids, never took the right actions against these kids, proves the point that all these kids did was something that was so horrific, so dead to wrong, that even they should be questioned. All teens' parents should be questioned for the way they raise their kids and the way they allow this and the way they're defending this. There's a lot that can be said here. I love what you did. I love your response. Again, if you leave me an email here on YouTube, I'd like to have you on the show too. And this matter needs to be taken care of. This matter needs to be really looked at for what it is.